Welcome to the Mother-Daughter-ish podcast. It's your mama's favorite podcast.
And the podcast your daughter always wanted.
This is Miss Dawn.
And Angelique.
From the 713. Houston, y'all. Get connected and stay connected weekly as new shows debut on Sunday, Wednesday, and please check out our Saturday Out and About showcases.
Enjoy the show. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell every woman on the planet that you know about our show.
Here's our show for today. Hello, mothers and daughters. I have got a good one for you today. This one is going to be quite educational. It's probably going to make you go, I didn't know about all that. All right. So today I'm going to talk about, and today is August the 28th. And the reason I'm referencing the date is because I don't want y'all to say, I ain't never did nothing for you. Because here I am, again, doing something for you that people pay a lot of money from me to share these type of things with them. But today I'm going to share with you where the money is. And when I say where the money is, I'm talking about grants. I'm talking about opportunities for your nonprofit organization, for your charitable projects, for your not-for-profit endeavors. I'm talking about where the money is. As you can see, I have a map up there, and the map is basically telling you, okay, today we're talking about the United States of America. So if you look up there, I love this picture because this picture shows the money bag, and it just kind of gives you an idea. I do get this question probably like, maybe about 5 or 6 times. Probably about 5 or 6 times a week. I get this question from different people that I either meet for the first time or people that, I'm doing business with, or people that I'm helping to get their 501c3 nonprofits approved and all of that. But they always have 2 questions, really. Where's the money first? And then the next question is, but why is the money grant money that you don't have to pay back? And why do they give it away? So I get that question a whole lot. I mean, a lot of people feel like, well, I guess it's that whole thing about being too good to be true. So a lot of people will kind of take it like that, where it's too good to be true. So we're going to talk about where the money is. And the other reason I wanted to show every state in America is because I've just about had a client in every state in America. Now, I'll tell you the ones I haven't, because it's much easier for me to remember that. I haven't had one in Alaska, as you can see, Alaska right there. I haven't had one in Hawaii, as you can see, Hawaii right there. Also none in Puerto Rico, none in the Bahamas, or any of those other territories that are considered American. I hate every time I get on here and I drink water before, and then all of a sudden I get to talking and then I dang near want to choke, which is so stupid. But that's what we're going to be talking about today, is where the money is. Now, I will tell you, there are multiple places that you can get grant funding from. And a lot of the places that I'll talk about, I guarantee you, you probably haven't thought about them. And it's not because it's difficult, but it's simply because it's not what you do every day. So, quite naturally, it's not something that you would really even want to care about because it's not what you do. But since this is what I do on a daily basis, I'm always teaching people where the money is, how to apply for the money, what type of funding is there. I mean, you can get grant funds from $250 to $250,000. It just depends. There's even $1 million grants, depending on what kind of project you're working on. So today, I'm going to just go through a list of where the tax-free money is. Also, another question that I don't that I don't get often, but I do get occasionally is, why is a loan something you have to pay back, but a grant is something you don't have to pay back? So the word grant just means that somebody's giving it to you. The word grant means kind of like a gift. So there's monies that can be a gift. There's gifts in kind that could be like products or something, services or something like that. But then also, when you think about grant funding, I want you to think about it like this. That money is already taxpayer money. So it's already been taxed and given to different government entities from different larger entities. For example, a federal government agency will give to another agency to give to a nonprofit. I'll give you an example. Like the federal government in Washington, D.C. has a, let's just say, for example, HUD department. So then there's a HUD, Housing and Urban Development, in every state in America. They'll take the federal funding and trickle it down to the states, so that then you can get the funding through your state through different multiple types of grants. Like, for example, I was on HUD's website the other day and I noticed that they had, 17 or 18 grants that they've got available now. And one of them is for you to teach new home buyers. One of them was to teach financial literacy. One was for CPA to come in and teach small businesses how to do better. There's a lot out there. I just got approached online by somebody who's with Verizon, and they're doing a mentor program. They got a lot of funding from the federal government to teach businesses how to stay thriving and alive. And so they asked me if I would like to be a business mentor for some clients. And I said, I'll try it out because it'll look good, you know, on the resume. And then it'll give me an opportunity to meet people. It'll give me an opportunity to share my wisdom with people. So I was like, you know what, it's something that I can give back to, but I don't mind. So the first one I'm going to talk about is individual grants. An individual grant is when an individual gives you money, meaning that they are not attached to a corporation, a company, a small business, or anything. They're just an individual. So you have XYZ 501c3 nonprofit organization receiving $25 from John Smith. When John Smith gives you that money, you're going to give them something with your EIN number on it, how much they gave and the name of the organization, and then somebody needs to sign off on it, because 9 times out of 10, John Smith is going to go to his CPA at the end of the year, and all of the other 50 organizations that he gave away to, like his church and the local Goodwill and all these other people, he's going to turn that in so that he gets his money some kind of way noticed, sometimes returned, sometimes goes toward a credit on money that he would have owed. The other thing that you need to understand when someone gives you money, it's not just because they love you. Because this is what I found out about business. It's not about love. It's not about, I care about you so much. What it's about is business, and business has to make dollars and cents. So if a company gives you $250,000, they're not just doing that just because they just have the money and there's nothing else for them to give away. No, there's several things that they can give away, and they just happen to have the funding to be able to do it. So they actually do it. So I'm going to just be showing you different pictures because I just love talking about grants. And so individuals, that was my example. So now my next example is going to be corporations. Corporations can give away money because a certain percentage of their funding has to go to nonprofit organizations within their funding option or within their community. Let me give you the difference. And funding option is, if I decide I only want to give away to people who work with blind animals, then I have the right in my corporation to only give away to people who fund projects that help blind animals. When I say a certain percentage of their money has to go to the community, for example, any bank that sits in a community, they have 5% of their funding that they have to give away, just simply because they're supposed to be helping out the community. So 5% is supposed to go to local charities and nonprofits and people that they can help in business. I know all of the banks around me have done it. So, and I always tell my clients to go to their local banks too and apply. There's always a person who's in charge of that, usually the VP, vice president of small business, or the manager of small business, or the business CEO or something within there. The next one is going to be your city. Like, for example, I live in the city of Houston. I'm in Katy, but it's still the city of Houston. Katy has some funding that comes from Houston to support nonprofits in the Katy area. But if I want bigger funding, or if I want contracts with the bigger entity, I can either partner with the city of Houston or Harris County. I've done both in the past. And so your city has different funding. I will give you a little tip and a little hint. If you're going to get contracts in multiple counties, because, for example, my state has 200 and something counties. So if I wanted to work in a county that wasn't necessarily in my city, but in another city, but in the state of Texas, as long as you have a vendor contract and go to the little tab that says doing business with them, and you comply with how they want you to do business with them, make a few friends and start finding out, what type of contracts they have available, and you need to apply for them. When I say make friends, I don't mean they're doing you any favors. No, ma'am. No, sir. I mean, find out how to apply, how to find out about the money, who's in charge of what, so that you can stay in the loop by email or by phone or by whatever you want to do. That's your city. The next way you can get money is through sponsors. So grant funding can come from sponsors. Let me give you an example of a sponsor. Let's say you have a small business. Let's just say you have, for example, we have a podcast. If we wanted to partner with Coca-Cola, then we would contact Coca-Cola and say, well, we know you only do commercials on big entities like ABC, CBS, Fox, and all of those other channels, whoever they're partnered with, but we would love to promote your water. And we would like to only have you as a sponsor for our water. That's the only water we're going to drink while we are on our show. And we do a live show where people can see us, not a show and tell. But even if we do that, we could put a screen up to show you that. And so sponsor would come in and say, okay, we will give you X amount of dollars for the year. And these are the requirements. You have to make sure that you show the water 15 times. You have to make sure you actually drink the whole thing. You have to, actually let us know how you really, really love it. Oh, that quenched my thirst type of thing. And they would give you money to sponsor your show. Now, I'll give you this other little hint. If you want a sponsor to sponsor your business, you got to make sure you tell them what the deliverables are going to be. Are you going to sip on that water 2 or 3, 4, 5 times? Are you going to promote it 15 times within that? Are you going to also wear the t-shirt out in public? Are you willing to take vouchers and give them when you go to expos? Like, how far are you willing to go so that the sponsor will love you because you are promoting them? Coca-Cola doesn't need you, but to have great partners who have great followers, it's a good look for them. And if it's tax exempt, it's an even better look. So just think about this. You have a company and it's tax deductible, and every time a sponsor gives you some money, they can write it off. Look at it. If you're a for-profit business, and grants are not typically for for-profits. There's some corporations that'll give some small business grants, but it's just very rare. But if you're a 501c3 nonprofit and you get a sponsor, they're writing that money off. So they're giving it to you to do what you say you're going to do. They're going to write it off in the end. So you're a better looking partner to them than somebody that they gave money to that was taxed, that they're going to end up having to pay tax on again, which is the wrong way to do business, is all I can say. It's not the way it goes. The next way that you can get grant funding is through raffles. You can do a car raffle, you can do a house raffle, you can do candy raffle, you can do all kinds of raffles with items. For example, let's say you wanted to do a car raffle, and let's say the car costs $40,000. What you would do, just step by step, quick steps. I'm not going to give you each single little thing you need to do because I've done this before, but you would approach the car dealer. You would let them know that you're wanting to do a raffle, the range that you want the car to be within, how long the raffle is going to start, how long it's going to end. Once you get the car, are you going to pay all the taxes and plus the cost of the car? Or is the person going to pay the taxes on the car once you give it to them? You got to write all of that in your fundraiser if you're going to do a raffle. And then once you sell enough raffle tickets, and in your mind, you need to know, okay, the project that we're trying to do is only $150,000, but if we sell X amount of tickets and we earn $300,000, we can do even more in the community. So once you get to your goal, you meet your goal, you need to know how long you think it's going to take you to meet that goal. So then you go and you're going to pay for the car. And once you pay for the car, then the car is assigned to you. It can sit there on the lot and wait till your raffle is over, because either way it goes, somebody's going to win that car. So that's another way that you can do the work that you need to do, so that I'm trying to find another cute picture for y'all, so that when you get ready to do the work it is that you need to do, or that you desire to do, at least you'll have some partners. And a lot of people think, well, the car dealership just gives you product. They do not give you the product. It does not work that way unless they're wanting to write something off immediately, and that doesn't always happen. So that's a raffle. You can also do like World's Finest Chocolate. I know the kids' school used to do World's Finest Chocolate, and I know daycares that do it. I know a lot of people who make a lot of money on it. The way World's Finest Chocolate goes is you have these boxes of chocolates or bars, and I think the bars are 25 or 50 cents, and you sell them for $2 or something like that. So you buy it for a small price outright, and then you upsell it and you sell them. I've paid $2 for the bar of candy or for the little chocolate nuggets. So if you have them and somebody like me who loves that chocolate, you got a customer forever because that candy is so good. Okay, the next one is product sales. You probably say, well, how in the world does a nonprofit have products to sell? That does not make sense. Well, actually, it makes a lot of sense because nonprofits have all kinds of products. They could create a t-shirt, like for example, I knew a girl who had a private school. I helped her get a 501c3. She had a private school. She sold the uniforms there so that the parents didn't have to go out and try to scour and look for uniforms because it's kind of hard to find uniforms when school starts. So she would sell the uniforms at her location, and then the parents, as a part of their package, when they signed up the kids, they could then buy the product, which was the uniform, from her. So you see how those dollars make sense. And then the school got to raise funds, and they didn't have to ask the parents to bring extra supplies to the school that typically they don't even use for the year. The next way that you can find grant funding is earmarked money. I make that one very simple and sweet. Earmarked money is when your local politician goes to DC, and every politician has a pot of money that they can get a hold to for special projects. And it does have to be a special project. So let's just say your charter school needed to be repainted because there was a hurricane, and it really needed to be remodeled and repainted. The kids are going there, but it's not that good looking and all of that. And you needed $150,000, and you know that your politician in your community that you've already made friends with. I told y'all to make friends. I said that in the beginning. They've already made friends with, and they love working with educational institutions. There's a lot of steps you got to go through. I've done it before. There's a lot of steps you got to go to just even getting the appointment. And there's a lot of certain way you have to write the letter to even get the appointment. Once you get the appointment and you sit face to face with your politician, there's something that you have to hand over to them in writing. And this is something you have to create, explaining what you need. And then from there, they do whatever they need to do. And then hopefully you can obtain that funding for you. There's a lot of politicians that won't do it. The public calls it pig money. And so since they've made it so dirty, a lot of politicians don't want their name attached to that. But it's called earmarked monies. The next one is real easy. It's reimbursement funds. I'll give you the perfect example of a reimbursement fund. So let's say you get a contract with a particular state entity or government entity, and you have to put all the work up front, and you send in your invoice, and then they do a net 30. That just means they pay you within 30 days. Okay, that's a reimbursement because you did all the work, you did everything you needed to do, and they give you a net 30. Now, there are some contracts where they'll give you a lump sum of money up front, and then you can start sending your invoices from there, and then they deduct what they've given you from there in the end. Another reimbursement type of opportunity would be, for example, Shell Oil Company. They do reimbursement funds on volunteer hours. So you would keep a track of all your volunteer hours for 90 days or more, and then whenever that grant comes around, volunteer hours have a dollar amount. If you want to know what that dollar amount is, go to irs.gov and type in what's the value of a volunteer. Nonprofits write off volunteer hours all the time and get reimbursed for that through multiple types of entities. I hope this information is really coming across to you good. And out of all of these that I'm going to list, my goal is to hope that you will take advantage of something. Your first that you have to do first, get your 501c3 approved. If you need help with that, let me know. But that's the first step. You can't do any of what I'm talking about if you don't have the proper setup. Or if you're a for-profit and you're not getting some of those corporation grants that they come out every blue moon, maybe 3 times a year. The next one we're talking about is local community. Your local community, like a civic club or something like that, can raise money for you and give it to you. If there's a private group in the community, like the Ladies Who Lunch or something like that, they can give you funding. If it's the local homeowners association group and they have a charitable pet project that they want to give away to, they can do that. The next one is private and public foundations. A private foundation is a foundation that's going to be attached to somebody's name, and they get to decide how they want to give that money away, what projects, what programs, and they run theirs a little different. A public foundation is going to have a broader view to you on what they want to fund, and anybody can apply for it. Most private foundations are by invitation only. Public foundations, for example, would be an example like Blue Cross Blue Shield has a public foundation, and you can apply for it in Louisiana and Texas and all other places. I've done it for Louisiana for a few people. Your state, so example, I live in the state of Texas. The state of Texas has grant funding under all different types of entities like Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, all types of different entities that fall up under the state. The next one is through contracts. I'm going to take a little time on that one because I love contracts. Contracts are going to be really where you want to go if you're looking to really do something big. If you're looking to really do something big and you want to be able to have a more steady opportunity, then contracts is going to be where you probably want to go to. A contract looks like this. So let's say an entity wants you to do work for them. Let's say you're a speaker and you speak very well and you can do training and all of that. And let's say you approach the city of Houston and you wanted to train all of the administrators in the city of Houston on something specific. Let's say your specialty is in avoiding sexual harassment issues. Your issue is in safety and health concerns. Let's say your issue is customer service and collaboration, or whatever your talk is about. You can actually reach out to the website for the city of Houston. This is my example. And you can click on the little button that says doing business with them, and you can do business with them. Even if you wanted to work with the Child Protective Services, on their website, they have a button that says doing business with them. You want to go ahead and fill out your application because you can't even fill out a contract without having a vendor number under the doing business with them. So don't make the mistake to think that you can just approach these entities, get on there and fill out an application. If you don't already have a vendor number, you don't already have an application doing business with them, they will not recognize you, because there's going to be certain questions in those applications that they're going to ask that's going to let them know if you're even worthy of working with them. Meaning, like, do you have a proper EIN? How's your business structured? Is it a sole proprietorship, a LLC, a C corporation, a 501c3 nonprofit? Does not matter. Now, a lot of these government entities will give you some for-profit grants, but most of them are going to be more happy to work with a 501c3 because the more money they can give out, the more they'll get back by working with them. So contracts are wonderful. If you can get some, get some. And contracts can come from government agencies, from corporations, from small businesses, from other contractors. There's a lot out there that's available to you. Fundraisers are really, really fun. And you've probably gone to a few fundraisers yourself, whether it was with your church or with your nonprofit organization that you support, like the United Way or something like that. And you typically know when it's a fundraiser. So if I'm going to a regular event and they say they're going to have a little chicken breast, some asparagus, little mashed potatoes, and some tea, and the plate is $175, you're probably at a fundraiser because only 35 of that went to the plate and the rest went to support the organization. If you agree to that, that's fine. I've been there, I've done that. I've never given one of those type of fundraisers, not at that cost, I should say. I've given fundraisers, not at that type of cost. But those are type of, for example, when people run for president, celebrities will give fundraisers at their house and they'll serve wonderful meals for $8,000, or the maximum that I think you can give a politician is $30,000. And so you'll go there and you'll have a fantastic chicken dinner and a little sorbet and a little wine, maybe a little brown liquor too. I don't know, but you probably paid $30,000. But here's where I don't want you to throw your nose up. Besides the fact you got a good meal and some good drinks and some sorbet, the networking will be off the charts. I wish there were a few that I could go to. I remember when our Rick Perry here in Texas, who was the governor at one time, I remember when he was running for politics, and I was invited to a networking event one night. Got a picture with him and everything. I was invited to an event one night. He was having a fundraiser type of thing in the house. I was invited by somebody who paid my way, and they wanted me to come with them. And I thought, oh, okay, it'd be cool to meet Rick Perry. He's always nice. I know of his wife Anita because she used to give a big women's expo for over a decade in the state of Texas. It used to be in Austin every year in October. I would always look forward to it. October or November, I would always look forward to it because it was such a fantastic networking opportunity that I can't pass that up, of course. So I went to meet Rick Perry. It was very, very nice. In that room, me as an entrepreneur, and I had a nonprofit organization. And then there were lawyers there, doctors there. There were all kinds of people. I fit right in because I can have a conversation with anybody. So I met wonderful people. Even got a chance to stand and talk to Rick Perry right up front, just conversation as if we already knew each other. He said, "You want to get a picture?" I said, "Sure." I mean, I didn't ask him. He asked, "You want to get," because everybody was taking pictures with him. And I was like, "Sure." And he was so comfortable. He had on a tracksuit and some tennis shoes. I was so happy to see that because, sometimes people be so stiff after 5 that you're like, okay, you went through your whole day with the same suit on. I'm gonna need you to get a shower and refresh. He just had his tracksuit on. And I thought that's when I started liking him. I was like, okay, he's down to earth. He is cool. He was very nice. He was very pleasant to talk to. He got a 10 out of 10 for me and a thumbs up because I was impressed with his kindness. Anything else I wasn't looking for. He was just kind and I appreciated that. So I like being around nice people. Intellectual property is a way that you can raise money and have a grant program. If you have, like, for example, if you're a nonprofit organization, writes a book, you can actually take that money. Let's just say you write a book, you put it up on Amazon, everybody buys the book, the monies that you get on Amazon, you donate that to your nonprofit organization. So that's monies that you can use for your nonprofit. So intellectual property is anything from your intellect that you created, made a product out of it, and now you sell it to the masses because the information is very important to them. Like, for example, I wrote a whole book about what I'm talking about right now. It's called 72 Reasons Why You Want to Start Your Nonprofit Today. It's on Amazon. I give the book away to my clients who hire me to get their 501c3s. I give it to them. But for people who want to learn more about what I'm talking about, they buy the book on Amazon. So you can create any type of intellectual property that you want and sell that and raise money for whatever you want to raise money for, earn money for. It's up to you. It's your book. You own it. No one can take that from you. It'll be here even when you're not. Matching programs. So we got funds, matching programs, and I'll tell you how that go. It's typically used in what you call a capital campaign. And what I mean by a capital campaign is that sometimes people will raise money for, okay, I'm gonna give you the best example. I don't have to explain too much. If you've ever been to a Baptist church, there's always need to raise money for the church fund building. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They always want to raise money for the church fund. So let's say they're going to build a new youth center, then they would do a building capital campaign, and they expect everybody to give to it, of course. So what'll happen is that they'll do a capital campaign and they'll say, okay, because you got to have skin in the game and anything you do. Hey, listen, mothers and daughters, if you're starting your own business, I don't care if it's just $5, have something that you can have. Because with $5, y'all gonna think I'm trying to be funny, but with $5, if you wanted to start your podcast, you could take your $5 and you could go to the Five and Below store and you could get your LED light mirror and a stand to go on for $5 and come back, light yourself up real well and get on this computer and start talking. Now, all the mechanics that works behind it, you'll figure that out. But if you just wanted to get your message out on YouTube today, $5. You put some skin in the game. Now, in my opinion, you've made yourself worthy to earn money back. $5 times $5 times $5 times $5. You put yourself in that position. When I started my first podcast in 2013, all I had was a little tripod thing, little cute tripod thing that I bought from the dollar store. I had my iPhone, which I used my voice memo on there. And in my MacBook Pro and my iMac, I had GarageBand on there so I could record. So I used to record from my phone, GarageBand, and then from a free conference call number, because if any glitch ever happened, I would have the recording. And if anything happened, I needed to stitch the recordings together, I would have it. So I never depended on just one device, but that was because I was so new at it. Now I got it down packed to, I don't have to worry about it. I'm not as nervous about that anymore. But you got to have some skin in the game. So if you wanted to do a capital campaign, then let's say we're going to stick with the church. So let's say the church put, okay, so let's say the building costs 300,000. The church puts in 100,000 of the church money. Then they're starting at 100,000. And there are some companies that will say, well, how much money are you putting in? And you'll say 100,000. They say, okay, I'll match your 100,000. Now you have 200,000. It's easy to raise money like that. Let's just take it down a notch to 25,000, and you need 300,000. So the church has 25,000. They go to a corporation or a company or an entity. That corporation says, I'm gonna give you 25,000. Now you got 50,000. The next corporation says, I'll give you 50,000 to match your 50,000. Now you have 75,000. Okay, I'll match your 75,000 with my 75. Now you have 150. You see how it could literally take you only 8 months to raise that total amount, and then even some over. Because matching funds just means that they're going to match what you got in your skin in the game. When they ask to see your bank account and proof before they deposit that, because oh yes, they want to see proof. Because we could all run around and say we got $100,000 in the bank. Can you match it? And be lying like they want to see proof. So you would have to show them your banking to show that you have the 100,000. If you ever saw my show that we did on Inventing Anna, she had a fake bank statements made because she was getting all this money to start her business and these investors and loans and all that. And she had somebody to create some fake bank statements that said she have so many millions of dollars, because I think the project she wanted to do was like millions and millions upon millions of dollars. So she had that proof for her fake banker to send over the bank statements, and that was how she was able to secure all of that funding, because they had some tricky forms made up so that it looked like she had a lot of money, and she did not. I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm telling you is that everybody wants to see proof. That's all I'm saying to you. The next way you can get funding into your tax exempt organization, I'm going to keep stressing, it needs to be 501c3. It needs to be tax exempt. It needs to be able to receive the money. If you don't have the paperwork that says you have the right or the entitlement to receive the money, then this conversation is not for you yet. But you might want to save this recording, and you might want to listen to it when you get ready for that. Okay. Endowments. An endowment is just like this. I'm rich. My name is Sally Sue. When I die, my money goes into an endowment that says, I always loved cats. So any kind of project that has to do with cats is where my money is going. My name is Sally Sue. I got $2 quadrillion, and I only want to deal with people who have dealt with having amputations due to diabetes. Then that's the only place my money is going to go. There was a lady in New York called Liam something Helmsworth. Big time real estate lady. When she died, and yes, she did have family. When she died, she left all her money to her dog. So her brother adopted the dog used to wear diamond chains, look like Elizabeth Taylor's jewelry. But anyway, the brother adopted the dog and didn't realize that he was only being paid pretty much pennies, but all the money was supposed to go toward supporting the dog. Now listen, you know what's going to happen when the dog died, and the dog has died, but you know what happened. All of her money goes to the state or wherever else she said she wanted. Even though that brother probably pampered that dog to the max, he still did not get the money. Didn't get the money. The dog was the only one entitled. I'm going to have to assume, and I hope I'm right, I'm going to have to assume she ain't had no children, because if she did that, she wrong. But it's your money, you earn it, you can do what you want. Like I've heard Bill Gates and Warren, but I heard a lot of people that are rich say that they're not leaving their kids money. And I understand why. They probably have already set up their kids a fund and said, this is what you have to live off of, and you need to be creative enough to figure out how to earn more money. But the rest of my money is going toward all these endeavors that I've been working on since I've been alive. I've earned my money out the mud. You got to earn yours too. I get it. I ain't mad at it. I get it. Next way you can get money. Hey, we're on a roll right now. Next way you can get money is through small businesses. A small business is deemed, of course, a business that has under 500 employees, not 501, not 505, but 499 plus one, 500 max employees. So any business that has 500 employees or less, and you probably say, well, how will I know where these people are? A simple Google search, a simple knowing your community. Even if you want to get fancy, you can buy software that'll tell you everything you need to know. For example, I was training a client the other night. I was coaching and consulting with her, and she was saying that she wanted to work with small businesses and they needed to be within this income level, and she wanted them in this area. I said, sounds to me like you need to buy a particular type. I told her software. You need to buy a particular type of software, and you need to only look up those businesses, and it'll tell you who the owner is, where the address is, where to send everything to. Or you could do a simple search at the DBA office at your county clerk's office, and you can reach out to people like that. It's all public information. Their information is right there in the computer. Another way you can find small business owners is you can go to Manta, M as in Mary, ANTA. You can type in your city, state, your zip code or whatever, and every small business that's within your area. If you type that word small business in there, it'll come up from there. If you want to market to those individuals to see if they are your particular people that would want to support your endeavors, then you do that. Or once you find the companies, if you want to do a further research, which is what I do when I'm doing further research, is I'll pull up the company, then I'll go to their website, and then I'll see what their corporate responsibility is. Corporate responsibility is just a cute word for saying, here's what we fund, here's what we don't. We already talked about public foundation, so I'm going to skip that one. I put private and public together. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to go back and put those next to each other instead of side by side. Federal government. So we have the federal government, for example, Health and Human Services is a federal entity. HUD is a federal entity. The EPA is a federal entity. There's a lot of federal entities, and it just means that they get their money directly from Washington, D.C., and you have to go to them to get the funding. They have not trickled it down to other small entities. You have to go to them. Federal grants are a little bit more difficult to get, and if you're going to get any grants over $50,000, you will need a SAM number. S is in service, A is in Apple, M is in Mary, all caps. SAM number. SAM number keeps track of the funding that you're receiving from the federal government. I've had contracts that were so heavy that we had to apply through the Securities and Exchange Division to report our funding with a yellow book audit. When you get over $500,000 off of a contract, you got to go to the Securities and Exchange and declare that money because it is tax-free money. You got to show them how you spent it. So you have to have an audit. Our audits used to cost us $8,000. The good thing is with that particular contract, when we paid the $8,000 to $10,000, because it went up and up every year. Once we paid that money, we would be reimbursed within 90 days. So we would always take that same money, put it back in the account, and recycle it for the next year. Every contract will not be like that. I'm telling you now. We got lucky with that one through the agriculture. But you're not going to find a lot of entities that are going to care to pay your audit bill because it was very expensive. And those audits would take, 2-3 weeks to have done. I mean, your time and attention for 2 or 3 weeks, that almost to the point where you really couldn't do your work unless you had a second person, which I did. But they were very expensive. And these are not, you pay a little bit as you go. No. You pay the whole 8 to 10 up front. Then they set their appointments on when they're going to come by and audit your paperwork. Because again, this has to be declared to the Securities and Exchange Department. I'm talking about Wall Street. Okay. Retailers. I'm going to give you a perfect example. If you have a Kohl's in your community, Kohl's department store. I always think of Kohl's like Mervyn's back in the door. Mervyn's was the commercial where the lady used to stand at the glass door and say, open, 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 open. I used to love that commercial, and I used to love that store. Retailers like Kohl's has a thing called Kohl's Cares. Kohl's Cares, they reimburse you according to how many volunteer hours they did in your organization. So let's say you were getting ready to do a big fundraiser. You're going to have 1,000 people there, even 500, doesn't matter. And you needed somebody to organize all the mailing so that when you mail it out, through your nonprofit, it could all be organized, because usually when you have a nonprofit, you'll go to the post office, you'll get a discount mailing certificate, and it costs to do the class and the supplies and things, like a couple $100, whatever. And instead of mailing for 60 cents, you can mail for about 11 to 12 cents. And that saves a lot of money for nonprofits. If you sometimes get mail that says, first class mail through whatever company, and it has a number on there, that's what it is. They've got politicians have that stamp, and nonprofits have that stamp. But Kohl's, if they spent 20 hours putting your mailers together and 2 people did it, then they reimburse you how much time they spent with you. Chase Bank, they have a program like that too, where they'll volunteer, and however many volunteer hours they put in times whatever their rate is, then they'll give you a reimbursement check for that too. Again, like I said, Kohl's is not the only one. It was just my example. Auctions. I've been to a lot of auctions, and I've seen things like $500,000 paintings, a pair of Christian Louboutins being auctioned off. I've seen jewelry being auctioned off. I've seen a lot of things auctioned off. I was at an auction one time over in the medical center here in Houston, and before we left that auction, they had raised over $2.5 million. And a lot of people were like in bidding wars about some of these paintings. You probably said, well, what we're going to get the painting for? Do we have to pay for that too? That's not the way it works. Let's say you have a painting that you want, and you call a museum and you say, hey, we're raising funds for, children who are blind, and we really want to put a school together to be able to help them to also learn the STEM program. A lot of them are very artsy. Some of them are very whizzes when it comes to math. And we want to have a special school for the blind children that are ages 10 to 15 here in Houston, and we would love to do an auction. We've already gotten an iPad donated to us. It's a $2,000 iPad. We've already got, a painting donated to us, and we would love for you to donate a painting to us, because our goal is to raise X amount of dollars. I have a letter I can send over to you right now for you to consider it. So that would be the auction item. And let's say they say, well, we can't give you the $50,000 XYZ, whoever that person's painting is, but we can give you the Basquiat, and you can raise money for that. So then they write it off. They give you a certified letter, so that certified letter can go with whoever purchased it, and you start the bidding war at a certain price, and you don't take anything less than that. And you can then either do it online, you can do it in person with a fundraiser mixed into it, where you have those expensive plates of food where you're raising money on that too. But I went to an auction one time and they raised $2.5 million, so I know it works. The next way that you can get grant funds is through procurements. Procurement is a word that you will see a lot at the school districts. Let's just say, for example, I go to Cy-Fair School District and I type on procurements on their website. It'll take me to their vendor thing. Now you got to log in, create a password, because I probably have vendor agreements on file, and I'm registered with probably 10 different school districts all over Houston and outside of Houston. I did it because you just never know when they may want a mentor or somebody to come in and do speaking engagements or whatever. But I get those bids that come across every week, about 5 or 6, and then I'll read through it and see if it's something I want to do. And if I do, I'll apply. And if I don't apply. But they use the word procurement in most of the school districts, colleges, and things like that. Just means that you're procuring and securing a contract to do a service for a certain amount of month, a certain length of time, to a certain group of people. That's all it means. You're procuring services. They're procuring services from you. All right, we're down to the last 2. If you find other ones, stick them into the categories I've already told you, because there's no others. I've done extensive research. I've been knowing all of this for 20-something years. I've done extensive research, and there is no other way to raise funds other than the ways that I'm telling you now, 20-something ways I'm telling you now. Capital campaign funds. We went a little bit into campaign funds with fundraisers, but you can do a capital campaign from scratch, meaning that you can start with a little bit of money and start raising it from there and mix. So you can take a fundraiser, matching funds, and capital campaign and mix it all together. Make sure that you put your little red glass thing on your website so they can see as the money grows and grows, kind of like a GoFundMe. And somebody asked me a while back, well, can we just simply do a GoFundMe for our fundraiser? You can do a GoFundMe for anything. But for 501c3 nonprofits, these are the ways that it's done. But you can do any kind of way you want to raise money. And if you do a GoFundMe, you're just basically doing a capital campaign. That's all. Again, take GoFundMe and stick it into capital campaign. It's all the same. You could throw out any name of any way you want to go get money, and I could tell you what category that I've already told you it could go into. Our final one, as we wrap it up, I'll give you this little message. Why they give you the money. They give it to you because it's tax-free money. They get to write it off. They give it to you to do the projects that you want to do in the community because you sit in the community. You know what's happening. It's tax-free to your organization. It's tax exempt for them to be able to write it off. So that's where the money is, and that's why you receive it. Once you get the proper paperwork that says you are entitled to it by meaning you're a 501c3, then that just means that you're entitled to it because you have the proper paperwork to receive it. Then you can play ball. If you don't have that, you got to sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else do it. A lot of people have a for-profit company and a nonprofit at the same time. Their for-profit is whatever they do, and then their nonprofit is their charitable give back type of thing. All right, my final one before I wrap it up, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the notification button, and before you do anything and leave this conversation, hit the like button because we're at the end. Everything I've already given you has probably blown your socks off, blown the top of your wig, lifted it up, because I know a lot of this you didn't know, but I'm going to give it to you because I feel like it's important to support women in businesses. And sometimes people are looking for monies that are simply not there for them. They're looking for money they're not even entitled to. They're looking for money that ain't talking to them because they don't have the proper paperwork. You need the proper paperwork, give me a call. But make sure that you support our show over on Instagram. It's mother-daughter-ish_. We're growing. Our goal is by Christmas to have 20,000 followers. And on YouTube, we would like to be up to at least 5,000 followers. I really want 10, but I scaled it back and said, okay, be realistic on what you know how to do. Because as I'm posting on all these different sites and letting them know and people are joining, it is a lot of work, but I love it. I love it. All righty. The last one before I let you go. Remember to hit the like button. Remember to make sure you subscribe, and please go join us over on Instagram at mother-daughter-ish_. All right, listen. Gifts in kind. Gifts in kind used to actually be an organization that you can order pallets of things for free and you just paid the shipping. It is now, write this down. It is now under the name of 360. It's under 360 Goods. You now have to go there, register your 501c3. They have to approve you, and then you can order. They have a whole catalog of things you can order. You just have to pay the shipping. So 360 Good is where you need to go for that. In kind is just anything I give you that is not monetary. So if I give you 15 laptops, I gave that to you in kind. If I give you 75 coats to give to the kids in your school, that was in kind. If I give you desktop computers, that was in kind. If we give you supplies to run your business, that was in kind. Anything that's not monetary is in kind. Final, drum rolls. Final. Workplace campaigns. You're probably like, what? You done mentioned this word campaign like 3 times now. But a workplace campaign is just like I'm going to tell you. Let's say you work for BP Oil. Oil corridor is not far from me. Let's say you work for BP Oil and you go in and you speak with the person who is over the human resources department. You let them know all about your organization. We've been around for 5 years. We've raised this much money. Here's all of our proof. You give them a piece of paper with all the dollars and cents. Back to what I said in the beginning, the dollars have to make sense. Dollars and cents, okay? You give them the paperwork, you show them what type of activities you're involved in, what type of charity you are, how long you've been in business, a copy of your 501c3, show them the money, how much you've earned, how much you bring in, basically a financial statement, a very quick one, income and expenses, okay? What they will then do is consider you to be in their workplace campaign. And what that means is that, okay, again, my name is Sally Sue. I'm walking in there, I'm getting a job with BP. When I fill out my application, there's going to be a question that says, would you like to give $1 every pay period to the United Way, to XYZ nonprofit organization? And I can go down the list. I know on that list, sometimes they may have 10 companies listed, because I know a friend of mine, she got a job at a CPA company, and she showed me things. She said, Dawn, you were right, because I helped her to get a nonprofit. She said, you are so right. She said they had like 15 different companies. She said, I can't wait to, have mine added on there once I've been working here for, 6 months to a year. Then I can get in there and talk to the HR person. I said, yes, start making friends today. Start making friends today. And I don't mean kissing butt and buying coffee. I'm just saying, be the joy and the light that you know how to be, so that you get recognized. But she said on there was the United Way, on there was the Good Samaritans, on there was St. Jude, on there was so many nonprofits that she never even had heard of. Some churches were under just different ones. All they did was build collaborations and partnerships to be able to get the okay to do that. Same thing you can do. All right, brothers and daughters, that's my talk today on grants. That's every portal that you can use to receive a grant. First thing on your notes, get your paperwork in order so that you can be qualified to receive a grant. Second thing, once you get your paperwork in order, then get your list together of what you need the funding for. Number 3, start doing your research and finding out at least 5 entities in all of the portals that I just gave you. I'm gonna even go back and count them for you, because see, I never count them. I just, as I find out about stuff, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 23 different portals that I just gave away to you. When I teach my class on how to get a 501c3 and where the money is, that's $750 a person. Comes with a 120-page workbook, but it'll change your life. It'll educate you. It'll let you know where the money is and where it ain't, and if you qualify or if you don't qualify. It's kind of like going and applying for a job, and they say on the application clearly before you even got there, on the post that said, in order to do this job, you need to have a bachelor's degree and at least 5 years of experience. And you go up in there and you don't have a bachelor's degree, and this is the first time you're trying to do this job, they're going to say you don't qualify. If you try to fill out any of these grants I just told you, and they require, first question is always, what's that 501c3 number? And upload your paperwork from the IRS right now. See, they cut out all of the riffraff that if you can't fill in that spot, you can't even go to page number 2. They're going to let you create an account. They're going to, listen, let me tell you something. There are some entities that they take you through 20 different questions, ask you to put your 501c3 number. Their software is attached to the IRS to verify, so you can't put a fake number in there. And they nip it right in the bud before they even let you register. I know. Let me tell you one who does it. Walmart. If you're going to get their little $5,000, they're going to ask you 20 questions. It's probably about 19, but still 20 questions before you even can register to then get access into the portal to apply for the money. Also, do some research and find out what entities fund what it is you want them to fund. Because don't go asking for children to be funded and they only fund senior citizens, and vice versa. Don't go asking for money for your pet shelter and they only deal with humans. Don't go asking money for the project that you're doing over in Africa or Haiti or wherever else, India, and they only want their money to be used in the US. You need to work with companies that are flexible, that says, as long as you're doing this project, it doesn't matter where you're doing it. You can do it in the US or out of the US. For example, Toms, the shoes. When you used to buy a pair of Toms, they would give a pair away to somebody in a foreign country. That's the way they structured their for-profit business and then a nonprofit entity to be able to give away the shoes. It was a fantastic write-off, I bet, on their company, because even though they may have made, I'm going to make this number because I don't know the real number. Let's say they made $1 million a year, but they had matching $1 million that they gave away. They just wrote off $1 million and they didn't probably have to pay $1 to Uncle Sam because of their nonprofit. So listen, also, when y'all hear that Jeff Bezos doesn't pay taxes for Amazon, and you hear that Donald Trump didn't pay taxes for his nonprofit, and you hear that Elon Musk, mind your business until you get your paperwork in order, because those guys already got their 501c3s in order and they're already doing their charitable walk. See, you don't know that end of the business, so you look at it like, oh my God, all of us poor people. I had to pay back $3,000 last year to the government. And here, Amazon is $1 trillion company and they're not paying it. Y'all, I don't even know why I just did it in that voice. Shame on me. But that's the whining that I hear in the public streets when I'm listening to people on the news and I'm listening to people talking about money and finances. And I'm just like, y'all need to do a little bit more homework behind the scenes. People be having all types of structured entities that you don't even know about. So again, that's my show today on grants. Those are the 20-something portals that you can, 24 portals you can get the funding from. And if you ever need any type of consultation to find out how you can play the game, because remember, don't hate the players and don't even hate the game. You know, they used to say, don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm going to say, don't hate the player and don't hate the game. Learn it, perfect it, play it a long time. Bye.
Hey, it's Miss Dawn. You wondering how you can support our show, Mother-Daughter-ish? We have CashApp, we have PayPal, and we do have Vimeo. Support our show so that we can reach out to more women. Our goal is to reach and build a community of 1 million women. Why don't you come on and help us do that?